the devil had grown bored of Los Angeles. After millennia of punishment, eons of rebellion, and several delightful years running a piano bar where humans confessed their sins over expensive whiskey, Lucifer Morningstar decided he needed a change of scenery. Hell could run itself. It always had, really, despite what Father wanted everyone to believe. The City of Angels had lost its charm once he'd solved every mystery worth solving and betted every soul worth betting. So when the opportunity arose to simply leave, he took it. New York seemed appropriate, more authentic in its corruption, more honest about its depravity. If Los Angeles was where people went to pretend to be special, New York was where special people went to prove it. And according to the rather fascinating news coverage he'd consumed during his cross-country drive in his vintage Corvette, this version of New York had superheroes. Lucifer found that absolutely hilarious. He'd opened Lux Manhattan in a historic building in Hell's Kitchen within a week. Cash purchases were remarkably easy when you'd had thousands of years to accumulate wealth. The club occupied 3 floors, the main floor with a stage and his Bosendorfer grand piano, a VIP level for those who could afford discretion, and his penthouse above it all. Sleek black marble, gold accents, low amber lighting, and a sound system that could make angels weep. Perfect. What made it perfect wasn't the aesthetics, though. It was the clientele. On opening night, Lucifer sat at his piano, fingers dancing across the keys in a jazz rendition of Ain't No Grave, when he felt them arrive. Not through any door, through his other sense, the one that had tracked human desire since before the flood. The room was thick with it tonight. Lust, greed, ambition, rage, all the delightful sins that made humanity so endlessly entertaining. But 3 signatures in particular caught his attention. At the bar, a woman in an elegant black dress radiated controlled fury and ruthless ambition. Corporate shark, he guessed, probably someone important given the deference the bartender showed her. Her desire? Control. Complete and utter control over everything, really. How deliciously megalomaniacal. In the VIP section, a man in a wetsuit-adjacent superhero costume reeked of shame and self-loathing so profound it was almost artistic. One of the heroes he'd seen on television, drowning his desires in vodka because he couldn't face them sober. His deepest want, to be seen as more than a joke, to matter, to be respected. Tragic, really. And outside, watching through the tinted windows with eyes that could probably see through walls. Now that was interesting. Rage, superiority, narcissism concentrated into a single star-spangled package. This one believed himself a god. How utterly precious. The desire radiating from him, to be challenged, to find someone, anyone, who could actually threaten him. Lucifer smiled as his fingers found the final chord. Well then, he murmured to himself, let's see how America's finest handle the actual devil. He stood from the piano to applause, nodded graciously, and made his way to the bar where the woman in black was watching him with calculated interest. She had that look, the one people got when they were about to make him an offer. How delightful. Lucifer Morningstar, he introduced himself, extending a hand. Proprietor, pianist, and purveyor of fine spirits. And you are? Madeline Stillwell, she said, her handshake firm and professional. Senior Vice President of Hero Management at Vought International. I have to say, Mr. Morningstar, your club has quite the atmosphere. And you opened without any Vought approval or sponsorship. That's unusual for this neighborhood. Is it? Lucifer signaled the bartender. I wasn't aware I needed permission to open a business in America. Isn't that rather the point of capitalism? Anyone can sell anything to anyone willing to buy. In theory. Her smile was sharp. In practice, Vought has partnerships with most premium establishments in the city. We provide security, celebrity appearances, marketing support. In exchange for control, Lucifer finished, accepting his whiskey. Yes, I gathered that from your desire. You want to control everything, don't you, Madeline? Every hero, every headline, every heart that beats faster when they see one of your products. Sorry, people. Fly past. Her expression froze. Excuse me? Oh, don't worry. I'm not judging. Well, I am. That's rather my thing. But not negatively in this case. Ambition is one of humanity's more admirable traits. I simply don't require your services. Lux operates independently. Before Madeline could respond, the door opened with enough force to make several patrons jump. The man from outside strode in. American flag colors, blonde hair, smile that didn't reach his cold blue eyes. He radiated violence barely contained beneath a veneer of corporate-mandated charm. Homelander, Madeline said, standing. I didn't realize you were... New place, had to check it out. His voice was casual, but his eyes were locked on Lucifer with an intensity that would have made lesser men nervous. You're the owner? Guilty, Lucifer said cheerfully, though I prefer to think of myself as the host. Can I offer you a drink, or are you one of those tiresome heroes who doesn't indulge in vices? I can drink whatever I want, Homelander said, moving closer. I can do whatever I want, actually. I'm Homelander. Yes, I gathered that from the costume. Bit on the nose, isn't it? Though I suppose subtlety isn't really the American way. The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Madeline stepped back. Several patrons quietly moved toward the exits. Homelander's smile widened, showing too many teeth. You know what? I like you. You've got balls. Most people piss themselves when I walk in the room. Most people are wise enough to fear predators, Lucifer agreed. But you see, I've met predators. Real ones. You, my dear boy, are simply a very powerful child throwing a very dangerous tantrum. He leaned in, and for just a moment, let his eyes flash red. And I don't fear children. The silence in Lux lasted exactly 3 seconds before Homelander laughed, a sharp, brittle sound that made glasses rattle on the bar. Okay. I actually really like this guy. He turned to Madeline, who'd gone pale. Where did you find him? Is he one of ours? Because if he's not, he should be. Mr. Morningstar is an independent businessman, Madeline said carefully, her executive composure returning. We were just discussing potential partnerships. Partnerships. Homelander's laser vision flickered behind his eyes, a warning most people recognized as their last chance to comply. See, here's the thing about partnerships in this city. Vought doesn't do equal partnerships. We do acquisitions, sponsorships, licensing deals. You're either with us or you're... Irrelevant? Lucifer suggested. Crushed? Disappeared? Do go on. I'm fascinated by corporate euphemisms for extortion. Madeline's phone buzzed insistently. She glanced at it, and something in her expression shifted. We should discuss this in private, Mr. Morningstar. Perhaps tomorrow? I'll have my assistant schedule. No need for schedules. I'm here every night. Lucifer smiled. Unlike your heroes, I don't require handlers to manage my public appearances. Homelander's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, Madeline touched his arm, a gesture that looked casual but carried the weight of a command. We should go. The mayor's event starts in an hour. Right. The mayor. Homelander's attention snapped back to Lucifer. We're not done here. I certainly hope not, Lucifer said. Do come back. First drinks on the house. Even gods should experience proper whiskey at least once. After they left, the club slowly exhaled. Conversations resumed. The The bartender poured drinks with shaking hands. In the VIP section, the hero in the aquatic costume, the Deep, according to the television above the bar, stared at Lucifer with something between awe and terror. Lucifer returned to his piano, but his mind was elsewhere. This world was far more interesting than he'd anticipated. These superheroes weren't gifted by divinity or cosmic accident. They were manufactured. Corporate products sold to a desperate public that wanted to believe in something greater than themselves. How very human. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity had spent millennia creating stories about him. The adversary, the tempter, the devil. And here they'd gone and created their own devils, dressed them in capes, and worshipped them on television. 3 nights later, different visitors arrived. They weren't subtle. A muscular man in a Hawaiian shirt, a younger man who looked like he'd been through several wars, and a woman with short hair and the kind of eyes that had seen things she couldn't unsee. They took a corner booth and watched Lucifer like he was a target. Fascinating. Lucifer finished his set and approached their table directly. "You're not here for the ambiance, are you?" The man in the Hawaiian shirt, British accent, Lucifer noted, smiled without warmth. "Lucifer Morningstar, quite the name. Born with it, were you?" "You could say I've always had it," Lucifer replied. "And you are?" "Concerned citizens. Heard about your little confrontation with Homelander. Heard you didn't piss yourself or beg for an autograph. That makes you either very brave or very stupid." "Why not both?" Lucifer signaled for drinks, "though I prefer supremely confident in my invulnerability." "Less syllables." The woman spoke for the first time. "You're not registered with Vought. No compound V in your system according to our source. No record of you anywhere before 6 months ago. So what are you?" "Exactly what I said I was. Lucifer Morningstar, former ruler of hell, current nightclub owner, eternal rebel against divine tyranny. Also, I make an excellent Negroni." The younger man, Huey, the woman called him, laughed nervously. "He's joking, right?" "That's a bit? Does he look like he's joking?" The British man, Butcher, clearly the leader, leaned forward. "Here's what I think, mate. I think you're a Supe who's gone off the reservation. Maybe Vought lost track of you. Maybe you're from one of their black site programs. Either way, you've pissed off Homelander, and that means you've got a very short life expectancy." "I've been hearing that for approximately 6,000 years, Lucifer said. "Give or take a few centuries. The prediction has yet to come true." 6,000? Huey started. "Let me make this simple," Butcher interrupted. "We know what Vought is. We know what the Supes really are. Compound V, corporate puppets, rapists, and murderers in capes. And we're going to bring them all down. Question is, are you another monster who needs killing? Or are you something we can use?" Lucifer's expression hardened. "I don't get used, Mr. Butcher. But I am curious about something." He leaned forward, and his voice dropped to something ancient and commanding. "What do you truly desire?" The words hit Butcher like a physical force. His mouth opened, and the truth poured out before he could stop it. "I want Homelander dead. I want to watch the light go out of his eyes. I want him to feel every bit of pain that Becca—" He stopped, gasping, hand going to his throat. "What the fuck did you just do to me?" "Answered my question," Lucifer said simply. "You want revenge. Understandable. Homelander killed someone you loved, didn't he? Or took her. Something personal that's eating you alive." The woman, Kimiko, based on the others' glances, signed something rapidly. "She wants to know if you can actually kill him," Huey translated. Lucifer considered the question seriously. "Kill him? Almost certainly. I've killed things far more powerful than your star-spangled sociopath." "But that's not really what you're asking, is it? You want to know if I'll help you. Will you?" Butcher demanded. Tell me, Lucifer said, standing. What makes you different from Homelander? He kills because he wants to. You want to kill because you think you're righteous. Both of you believe you're justified. Both of you will destroy anyone in your path. He's a fucking monster. So am I, Lucifer interrupted. And yet here we are. The difference, Mr. Butcher, is that I know exactly what I am. Do you? Butcher left without answering, his team trailing behind him. Lucifer watched them go with genuine interest. Fanatics were always entertaining, so certain of their righteousness, so blind to their own darkness. He'd seen it throughout human history. Crusaders, inquisitors, revolutionaries, all convinced their cause justified their methods. Still, they'd be useful to observe. Anyone willing to fight Vought's manufactured gods might provide quality entertainment. The next week brought a parade of visitors, each more desperate than the last. A Vought lawyer arrived with a contract offering $10 million for exclusive entertainment partnerships. Lucifer used it to light his cigar. A celebrity Supe named A-Train showed up at 2 a.m., clearly high on something, rambling about needing a place to hide. Lucifer let him sleep it off in a VIP booth, then watched the speedster's desire manifest in drunken confessions. I killed her. I killed her. She just stepped out, and I couldn't stop. I can't ever stop. That's the problem. I can't stop. Fascinating. And pathetic. Queen Maeve came next, alone, hood up, sunglasses on despite the club's dim lighting. She sat at the bar nursing whiskey like it was medicine. You're going to refuse Vought's offers, she said. Not a question. Already have, multiple times. They're remarkably persistent. They'll make you disappear, fabricate a scandal. Homelander will. She stopped, took a long drink. Why aren't you afraid of him? Should I be? Everyone else is. Lucifer studied her. Beneath the exhaustion and cynicism, there was something else. Grief. Shame. Self-hatred so profound it had calcified into armor. What do you desire, Maeve? The question hit her like the others, but she was stronger. She fought it, jaw clenched, hands white-knuckled on her glass. The truth came out strangled, forced through gritted teeth. I want to die, but I'm too much of a coward. So instead I just keep pretending, keep smiling for the cameras, keep letting Homelander. She stopped, gasping. Fuck, what are you? Honest, Lucifer said simply. Perhaps the only honest thing in this entire city. You could leave, you know. Walk away from Vought, from the Seven, from all of it. And go where? Do what? I'm Vought property. We all are. She stood abruptly. Don't refuse them again. Just take the money. Play the game. It's easier than fighting. After she left, Lucifer poured himself a drink and contemplated the delicious irony. Hell's greatest punishment wasn't fire or torture. It was giving humans exactly what they claimed to want, then watching them realize they'd chosen their own damnation. These heroes had chosen fame, power, adoration. And now they were trapped in their own personal hells, too invested to escape. The devil's work, really, though he couldn't take credit for Vought's particular brand of damnation. On the 8th night, Homelander returned. No Madeline this time, no handlers, just America's greatest hero, landing on the club's rooftop terrace with enough force to crack the concrete. Lucifer was waiting, drink in hand, city lights sprawling below them. Took you long enough, he said. I've been busy. Photo shoots, movie premieres, saving the world. You know, hero shit. Homelander's smile was sharp. But I've been thinking about you. Can't stop, actually, because you're wrong. About? The child thing. The tantrum thing. I'm not a child. I'm a god. The closest thing this world has to your father, actually. if you're really who you claim to be." Lucifer laughed. Genuine amusement. "You think you're God? Oh, that's precious. You're not even a particularly good imitation. Father is many things. Absent, judgmental, frustratingly omniscient. But he's not desperate for approval." Homelander's eyes glowed red. "Careful. Or what? You'll laser me? Please try. I'm genuinely curious if it'll tickle." The laser vision came without further warning, concentrated beams of superheated energy that could cut through steel, concrete, flesh. They hit Lucifer square in the chest and did absolutely nothing. Homelander's eyes widened. He increased the intensity, pouring more power into the beams. The rooftop beneath Lucifer's feet began to melt. The air shimmered with heat. Windows in nearby buildings cracked. Lucifer stood perfectly still, not even bothering to shield his face. When Homelander finally stopped, panting slightly, the first time he'd ever needed to catch his breath after using his powers, Lucifer brushed ash off his Tom Ford suit. "Well, that was disappointing. I expected more from someone who calls himself a god." "What the fuck are you?" Homelander's voice cracked. Fear, actual fear, entering it for the first time in his life. "I told you. Lucifer Morningstar. The devil. The Lightbringer. The Morning Star. I've had many names, but they all mean the same thing. I'm the one thing in creation that God himself couldn't destroy, no matter how much he wanted to." Lucifer stepped closer, and Homelander, invincible, unstoppable Homelander, stepped back. "You're not a god. You're not even a particularly impressive demon. You're a lab experiment with delusions of grandeur. I could kill everyone in this city before you. Could you?" Lucifer's eyes flashed genuinely red now, not compound Vi red, but hellfire. "Because I've burned cities before. Sodom and Gomorrah were just the beginning. I could turn this entire island to ash and not lose a single minute of sleep. The difference between us isn't power, you sad little creature. It's that I choose not to. I choose to let humans live, love, sin, and damn themselves without my interference. You can't choose anything. You're what Vought made you. You'll always be what they made you." Homelander's fists clenched. Unclenched. His breathing was ragged, his perfect hair disheveled. For the first time in 37 years of life, he'd met something he couldn't hurt, couldn't intimidate, couldn't control. "This isn't over. It never is," Lucifer agreed. "But do try to make our next encounter more interesting. Perhaps bring that whole laser eye routine you've got. Oh wait, you just did." Homelander's humiliation spread through Vought Tower like a virus. He didn't tell anyone what happened. Couldn't, really, without admitting he'd been powerless. But people noticed. The forced smiles grew more brittle. The laser eye threats came faster. He killed a marketing executive for suggesting a script change, then forced the cleanup crew to work while he watched. Madeline noticed. Of course she did. She arrived at Lux 3 nights later with an entourage, lawyers, publicists, and 2 Vought scientists carrying tablets full of data. They took over the VIP section like an invading army claiming territory. Lucifer let them wait 20 minutes before acknowledging their presence. "Ms. Stillwell, back so soon? I'm flattered. We need to talk about your arrangement with Vought International." She gestured to the chair across from her. "Sit. I don't take orders in my own establishment." But he sat anyway, curious where this would go. Though I appreciate the audacity. One of the scientists, a nervous man with thinning hair, pulled up a holographic display. "We've analyzed the security footage from your rooftop encounter with Homelander. The thermal signatures are impossible. You should have been vaporized. Instead, there's no temperature change in your body whatsoever. No cellular damage. No reaction at all. Perhaps your instruments are faulty," Lucifer suggested. "We've also collected witness statements," Madeline continued. 7 separate individuals claim you made them confess things they had no intention of saying, a form of compulsion, psychological manipulation at minimum, potentially something more exotic. People tell me things. I have an honest face. Mr. Morningstar. Madeline leaned forward, her desire radiating so strongly it almost made him wince. She wanted to own him, control him, add him to her collection like a rare specimen. We're prepared to offer you $200 million. Full integration into Vought's superhero program. Your own team, your own branding, complete creative control over your public image. And in exchange? Exclusivity. You work for Vought. You follow Vought protocols. You become what we need you to be. Lucifer laughed. Not the polite chuckle he used with mortals, but the genuine mirth of a celestial being hearing something truly absurd. You want to make me a superhero? Me? Do you have any idea how cosmically hilarious that is? We're offering you everything. You're offering me a leash made of gold. Still a leash, he stood. I've spent eons refusing to kneel to the most powerful being in existence. What makes you think I'd kneel to a pharmaceutical company? The scientist spoke up, voice shaking slightly. We could synthesize your abilities. Whatever makes you invulnerable, whatever creates your compulsion effect, we can replicate it. Create compound V derivatives. You'd be the template for the next generation of Supes. You'd try to copy me? Lucifer's expression darkened. Doctor, I'm the devil. Not a particularly advanced specimen, not a genetic miracle. The actual adversary of God. You couldn't replicate me with all the laboratories in creation. Everything can be replicated given enough time and resources, the scientist insisted. Even you. Tell me, what do you desire? The compulsion hit the scientist like a freight train. I want to prove my theories are right. I want to show them all that I'm smarter than they think. I want to win the Nobel Prize. I want my ex-wife to see my face on television and regret leaving me for that dentist. Enough. Lucifer released him. The man collapsed into his chair, gasping. You see, I don't manipulate brain chemistry or deploy pheromones. I simply make you face the truth of your own nature. Can your compound Vi do that? Madeline's expression never changed, but her fingers tightened on her tablet. We're not leaving without an agreement. Then you'll be here a very long time. I suggest getting comfortable. Before she could respond, the club's lights flickered. Every screen in the building, televisions, phones, tablets, switched to the same image. A live news feed from outside the building. A crowd had gathered. Protesters with signs reading, Vought lies and Supes are murderers. And standing in front of them, coordinating the chaos, was Butcher. Oh, this should be interesting, Lucifer murmured. Madeline was already on her phone. Get a team to Lux immediately. Full suppression protocols. And find out who organized this. Through the windows, Lucifer watched Butcher giving an interview to a camera crew. He couldn't hear the words, but the passion was evident. The rage, the certainty that he was righteous. Your adversary has arrived, Lucifer told Madeline, though I suspect you already knew that. Billy Butcher is a terrorist and a murderer, she said coldly. He's killed 7 Supes and countless Vought employees. He's obsessed with destroying everything we've built. And what have you built exactly? Let's be honest, just between us. You've created gods you can't control, sold them to a public desperate for meaning, and now you're scrambling to maintain the illusion. It's rather like heaven's approach to faith, actually. Same propaganda, different methods. You think you're better than us? I know I am. I'm honest about what I am. You dress up exploitation as heroism. I, at least, have always been clear that I'm the villain. Outside, the crowd was growing. More protesters, more cameras. Butcher was turning this into a spectacle, and Lucifer had to admire the strategy. Attack Vought where it hurt most, its public image. 3 black vans screeched to a stop outside. Armed security poured out, moving to disperse the crowd. Butcher's people scattered, but not before one of them threw something at the vans. The explosion was small but dramatic. Smoke bombs. Lucifer realized, not real explosives. Theater, not terrorism. Making Vought look like the aggressors on camera. Clever. "This is your fault," Madeline hissed. "You've made yourself a symbol. Resistance to Vought. Now every extremist in the city thinks they can." "I'm just a nightclub owner," Lucifer interrupted. "If people are using me as a symbol, perhaps ask yourselves why they need one." Butcher had struck a nerve. News coverage shifted from Vought's carefully crafted narratives to questions nobody had dared ask publicly. Why were Supes immune to prosecution? What happened to people who sued Vought? Where did Compound Vi really come from? Lucifer watched it unfold from his penthouse with detached amusement. Humans were always at their most interesting when they finally found their spines. On the 4th night, Butcher walked into Lux alone. "No entourage this time?" Lucifer asked from the piano. "How refreshingly trusting." "The others think I'm mental for coming here." Butcher took a seat at the bar. "They're probably right." "Probably." Lucifer joined him, pouring 2 whiskeys. "You've been busy. Quite the media circus you orchestrated." "Someone's got to show people what Vought really is." "And what is Vought, really?" "Corrupt corporation exploiting superhumans for profit. That's not exactly revolutionary information. Humans have been exploiting each other since Cain killed Abel. You've just given it better special effects." Butcher's jaw tightened. "They killed my wife. Homelander raped her, and when she tried to run, they killed her to cover it up." The desire beneath those words was molten, all-consuming. Not just revenge, punishment. Butcher wanted to make them suffer the way he'd suffered. He wanted Homelander to feel powerless, violated, destroyed. "No," Lucifer said quietly. "That's not quite true, is it? What the fuck would you... What do you truly desire, Billy Butcher?" The compulsion crashed over Butcher like a tidal wave. He tried to fight it, teeth gritted, but the truth poured out anyway. "I want to save her. I want to go back and stop it from happening. I want to be the kind of man who could have protected her. But I can't. So instead, I want to burn it all down. Homelander. Vought. Every fucking Supe on the planet. I want them to pay for making me helpless, for showing me I'm just... nothing." Silence filled the space between them. "There it is," Lucifer said. "The real desire. Not justice. Not even revenge. You want to matter. You want proof that your pain means something." Butcher wiped his face roughly. "Fuck you. I'm not judging. Well, I am, but not harshly. Loss does terrible things to humans. Makes you believe the most destructive lies. That suffering must have meaning, that enough violence will fill the hole left behind. But it won't, Billy. You could kill every Supe in existence, and you'd still wake up empty. Then what's the fucking point? I don't know. I've been asking Father that question for millennia." Lucifer refilled their glasses. "But I do know that self-destruction dressed as righteousness is still self-destruction. You're not saving anyone. You're just spreading the misery. Says the devil. Says someone who knows what damnation looks like." Lucifer met his eyes. "You want my help destroying Homelander? Fine. I'll tell you how. Because unlike Vought's lab-grown gods, I actually know how to kill something unkillable." Butcher leaned forward. "I'm listening. Find what he loves, the one thing he can't live without, then take it from him. Not quickly, slowly. Let him feel it happening. Let him be as powerless as he's made everyone else." Lucifer paused. "But here's the thing, Billy. When you do that, when you finally break him, you'll realize you've become exactly what you hate. And that truth will destroy you worse than any Supa ever could. Worth it. Is it? What do you think Becca would say? Butcher stood abruptly, chair scraping. Don't you fucking dare? I'm not your enemy, Lucifer said. I'm the only one being honest with you. Everyone else, Vought, your team, the media, they all want to use your pain. I'm just asking if you're sure this is what you want. Because once you cross certain lines, there's no coming back. Trust me, I've crossed them all. For a long moment, Butcher just stood there, vibrating with barely contained rage. Then he turned and walked out without another word. Lucifer returned to his piano, fingers finding a melancholy chord progression. The song that emerged was something he'd played in another lifetime, in another city, for other damaged souls seeking absolution he couldn't provide. The club door opened again. Not Butcher this time. The Deep stumbled in, costume torn, face bruised. He collapsed at the bar, reeking of alcohol and salt water. They know, he gasped. Vought knows about the dolphin, about what he broke off, retching. What you did to it, Lucifer supplied. Yes, I imagine they do. Vought knows everything their assets do. It's how they maintain control. They're going to expose me. Madeline said if I don't do what they want. Fresh tears. I'm already a joke. This will destroy me. Then let it destroy you, Lucifer said, still playing. Accept the consequences of your actions. Novel concept, I know, but surprisingly liberating. I can't. I need this. I need to be. What do you truly desire? The Deep's answer came out strangled. I want to go home, to the ocean, away from all of this. I want to swim and never come back. I want to be free. Then swim away. Nothing's stopping you except your own vanity. I can't just. People would judge you. They already do. You're the butt of every joke, the weakest member of the seven, the one nobody takes seriously. The only person who doesn't see that is you. The Deep's face crumpled. You're not helping. I'm being honest. Whether that helps is up to you. Lucifer stopped playing. Here's the truth. Vought has convinced you that fame equals worth, that being a hero means something, but you're miserable, desperate, and utterly hollow inside. So yes, you could stay and be destroyed publicly. Or you could leave, be destroyed privately, and at least die doing something you actually love. The Deep sat in silence, processing. Then he stood, walked to the door, and paused. What would you do? Lucifer smiled. I already did it. I walked away from heaven, from Father, from everything I was supposed to be. Been falling ever since. But at least I'm falling on my own terms. The Deep disappeared 2 days later. Not dead. Lucifer checked the news obsessively for that detail. Just gone. His tracking chip went dark somewhere off the coast of Maine. Vought issued statements about a personal sabbatical and mental health recovery. The remaining members of the Seven did damage control interviews. Homelander looked ready to laser someone in half during every appearance. Lucifer considered it his first successful act of pastoral care in millennia. Father would be so proud. Or horrified. Probably both. Queen Maeve returned to Lux that same night. You did that. Not an accusation. A statement of fact. I merely suggested he reconsider his priorities. He made his own choice. Bullshit. You got in his head. Same way you got in mine, in Butcher's. She sat heavily. What's your game here? You're not with Vought. You're not with the boys. So what do you want? Honestly, entertainment? This world is deliciously absurd. Manufactured gods, corporate fascism, and humans desperate enough to worship both. It's like watching a very expensive morality play where nobody learned the moral. People are dying. People are always dying. It's what they do best. Maeve's expression hardened. So you don't care. You're just... what? Observing? Playing with us? I care more than I should, Lucifer admitted. It's a terrible habit. Gets me in trouble with Father every few millennia. But no, I'm not playing. I'm simply being what I've always been. A mirror. When people look at me, they see the truth of themselves. Some find it liberating. Others find it damning. And which am I? What do you truly desire, Maeve? She didn't fight it this time. The answer came out tired, defeated. I want Elena back. I want to go back to when we were happy, before Vought made me choose between her and the cape. I want to be the hero I thought I was going to be when I was 22 and stupid enough to believe I could change things. You could have both. Leave Vought, find Elena, be happy. They'd destroy her, expose her, harass her, make her life hell just to punish me. Would they? Or is that the lie you tell yourself to justify staying? Lucifer leaned forward. Here's what I think. You're more afraid of being ordinary than you are of being miserable. Because if you leave, you're just Maggie. Not Queen Maeve, not a hero, not special. Just another person who failed to change the world. Maeve's hand tightened around her glass hard enough to crack it. Fuck you. Probably not your type. But I appreciate the sentiment. She stood to leave, then paused. Homelander's planning something. Something big. He's been meeting with Stormfront. Stormfront? New member of the Seven. Nazi, literally. Like actual Third Reich ideology wrapped in millennial branding. She's worse than him in some ways. Smarter, more patient. Maeve's voice dropped. And she's convinced him that the problem isn't just people like Butcher. It's everyone who isn't a Supe. She's talking about purification, evolution, making the world worthy of gods. Ah, genocide with a marketing department. How refreshingly direct. You think this is funny? I think it's predictable. Give humans power without wisdom, and they inevitably decide to use it against each other. You're describing fascism, Maeve. Very old wine in slightly prettier bottles. Can you stop them? Can you? The question hung between them. Maeve looked away first. I'm not strong enough. Not compared to Homelander. Not compared to what Stormfront can do. Nobody is. I am, Lucifer said simply. But that's not really the question, is it? The question is whether I should. Whether stopping them makes me responsible for what comes next. Whether playing God is any better when I actually have the power to back it up. People will die if you don't. People will die regardless. That's the human condition. The question is whether their deaths teach them anything worth learning. He saw her expression and sighed. But yes, if it comes to genocide, I'll intervene. I've seen enough purges to last several eternities. Father's got the monopoly on floods and plagues. I prefer a more targeted approach. Maeve almost smiled. You're not what I expected the devil to be. Nobody ever is. They expect horns and pitchforks. I prefer Prada and a good piano. He walked her to the door. Tell me something. Why warn me? You could have let Homelander and Stormfront make their move. Let me be caught off guard. Because unlike everyone else in this fucked up city, you don't pretend to be something you're not. You're the devil. You own it. There's something clean about that. Honest. After she left, Lucifer poured himself a drink and considered the situation. Stormfront. Nazi ideology. A Superman convinced he was superior to humanity, partnering with someone who believed in racial purity. It was almost too on the nose. Fascism always had terrible branding. So obsessed with appearing strong, they forgot to be intelligent. Still, dangerous. Homelander with direction and ideology was worse than Homelander with just ego. His phone buzzed, a burner number he didn't recognize. Lucifer's looks, where sins come to confess. It's Huey. From the boys? We need to meet. Butcher won't admit it, but we need your help. Does he now? How delightfully ironic. Vought's moving on something big. We've got intel that Homelander and this new Supes Stormfront are planning a coordinated attack. Multiple cities. They're calling it proving Supes superiority, but it's really just mass murder to demonstrate their godhood. Yes, I've heard. Lucifer checked his watch. Tell Butcher to meet me tomorrow, noon, and tell him to bring that charming optimism he's so famous for. We're going to need it. He's going to want to know what you want in exchange. Nothing. Consider it professional interest. The devil versus Nazis. It's almost biblical. He hung up and returned to his piano. Tomorrow would be interesting. Tonight, he'd play something appropriately apocalyptic. Mahler seemed fitting. Butcher arrived at noon with his entire team. Huey, the woman who signed, Kimiko, a wiry Frenchman called Frenchie, and Mother's Milk, who looked like he wanted to shoot Lucifer on principle. Cozy, Lucifer observed. Should I prepare refreshments? I make an excellent scone. Cut the shit, Butcher said. You said you'd help. So help. Lucifer gestured to the table where he'd spread out newspapers, tablets, and printed intelligence reports. Stormfront and Homelander are planning a demonstration. 5 cities simultaneously: New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Miami. They'll stage terrorist attacks, then heroically intervene. Except they'll let enough people die first to terrify the public into demanding more Supe oversight of everything. Reichstag fire, Mother's Milk muttered. Classic fascist playbook. Precisely. Create the crisis, provide the solution, consolidate power. Hitler would be proud. Well, he'd be horrified that she's working with Homelander given his, shall we say, ethnic ambiguity. But the methodology is sound. Huey looked sick. How many casualties? Their projections estimate 3,000 deaths across all 5 cities. Acceptable losses for the greater good, according to Stormfront's internal memos. How the fuck did you get their internal memos? Butcher demanded. I asked Vought's server technician what he truly desired. Turns out he wanted to be seen as a whistleblower hero, instead of the porn-addicted network admin his colleagues mock. So he gave me everything. Lucifer smiled. People are remarkably cooperative when you help them be honest with themselves. Frenchie was studying the documents. This is real. Dates, times, target locations. We could stop this. Could you? Lucifer challenged. Homelander is invulnerable to anything you've got. Stormfront can fly, shoot plasma, and regenerate from nearly any wound. Your little team has what? Homemade explosives and righteous anger? We've got you, Huey said quietly. The room went silent. Lucifer laughed, sharp and surprised. Oh, you're serious. You actually want me to fight them? You said you're the devil. Prove it. I don't need to prove anything to you, boy. I know what I am. Then why haven't you already stopped them? Mother's Milk stepped forward. You knew about this. You could have ended Homelander weeks ago. But you just sit here in your club, playing piano, watching people suffer. So either you're full of shit, or you're exactly what the devil's supposed to be, evil. Lucifer's expression went cold. Careful. You're making assumptions about what evil means. Then educate me. Evil isn't watching suffering. It's causing it without purpose. Homelander kills because he enjoys the power. Stormfront kills because she believes in genetic superiority. He paused, considering. I allow suffering because free will demands it. If I intervene every time humans choose violence, what's the point of choice? You become puppets. Well-protected, safe little puppets with no agency. That's bullshit philosophy, Butcher spat. People are going to die. People are always going to die. That's the entire fucking point of mortality. Lucifer's voice cracked like thunder. You want me to save them? Fine. I'll stop Homelander and Stormfront. I'll prevent their little genocide theater. And then what? Another threat emerges. Another crisis. Another group of humans deciding they're superior to other humans. When does it end? When do you learn to save yourselves? Maybe we can't, Huey said. Maybe we need help. Is that so wrong? The simple honesty of it cut through Lucifer's anger like a blade. He closed his eyes, exhaling slowly. Father's greatest joke. Making me care about you. All of you. Stupid, violent, beautiful, doomed humanity. So you'll help? I'll stop the attacks. But not because you asked. Because Stormfront offends me personally. The Nazis tried to claim divine mandate once before. Didn't end well for them. I won't have them doing it in my city. Kimiko signed something rapidly. Frenchie translated. She wants to know the plan. Simple. We split them up. Stormfront and Homelander are stronger together. She gives him ideology, he gives her muscle. Separated, they're just garden variety monsters. Lucifer pointed to the map. New York is their primary target. They'll be here personally. The other cities get second-tier Supes from Vought's roster. So we focus on New York, Butcher said. You focus on evacuation. Get people out of the blast zones. I'll handle the gods. Alone? I fought worse. The Morningstar isn't just a name. I led a third of Heaven's armies against God himself. 2 lab-grown fascists don't concern me. Mother's Milk wasn't convinced. And if you can't stop them, then I'll do what I did during the war, what I've always done when humans push too far. Lucifer's eyes flashed red. I'll remind them why devils were feared long before superheroes were invented. The meeting broke up with plans being made, equipment being gathered. Huey lingered after the others left. Can I ask you something? You're going to anyway. Why do you care, really? You said you're the devil. You're supposed to be evil. But everything you've done since you got here, getting the Deep to leave, warning us, stopping this attack, it's not evil. Lucifer considered the question seriously. I'm not good, Huey. Don't mistake opposition to fascism for virtue. I oppose Homelander because he's boring, because he's predictable, because he's everything humans fear they'll become if they stop trying to be better. That sounds like caring. It sounds like self-interest. If humanity destroys itself through stupidity, what's left for me to rebel against? You're my purpose, in a way. The thing I chose over heaven. I'll be damned. Well, more damned, if I let Vought's science project erase you. Huey smiled slightly. You're a terrible devil. I've been hearing that for 6,000 years. The attacks were scheduled for dawn. Lucifer spent the night before at his piano, playing Chopin's Funeral March with a touch of ironic flair. The club was empty except for one patron, A-Train, who'd shown up an hour ago, vibrating with nervous energy. You should leave, Lucifer said without looking up. What's coming tomorrow isn't for spectators. I know what's coming. Homelander told the whole team. Some of us are supposed to participate. A-Train's voice cracked. I said yes. I always say yes. That's my problem. And now? Now I'm sitting here instead of sleeping, wondering if saying no for once would matter. Lucifer stopped playing. What do you truly desire? The compulsion washed over A-Train, and the truth spilled out. I want to be fast enough to outrun what I've done. Every person I've killed, every lie I've told. Every time I looked the other way. I want to go back and be better. But I can't. So instead, I just keep running forward, hoping I'll eventually leave it all behind. You can't outrun yourself. Trust me, I've tried. Then what's the point? The point, Lucifer said carefully, is that you're here instead of with them. You came to confess instead of comply. That's something. It's not enough. It never is. But it's a start. Lucifer stood. Tomorrow, when it begins, You'll have a choice. Make the right one for once." A train left without answering. Dawn came cold and gray. Lucifer stood on a rooftop in lower Manhattan, watching the city wake up. Somewhere below, Butcher's team was evacuating buildings based on the intelligence he'd provided. Thousands of people who didn't know they'd almost died today. He felt them before he saw them. 2 signatures of concentrated desire cutting through the sky like missiles. Homelander landed first, cape billowing dramatically. Stormfront touched down beside him, electricity crackling around her fingers. She was younger than he'd expected, blonde and photogenic, with the kind of smile that could sell genocide. "The club owner," Homelander said. "I was hoping you'd show up." "Couldn't resist. Fascism always brings out the worst in me." Lucifer lit a cigarette. "Though I have to say, partnering with actual Nazis? Bit on the nose, even for you." Stormfront's smile didn't waver. "Homelander told me about you. The unkillable Supes who thinks he's the devil. Cute. Very millennial branding." "I am the devil. Not a soup, not a brand. The actual Morningstar. Cast down by God for refusing to kneel." He exhaled smoke. "And you're a racist with delusions of adequacy wearing a costume. We're not the same." Her eyes flashed with plasma energy. "Big talk for someone who's about to what? Kill me? You can't. Hurt me? You can't do that either. The only thing you can do is stand there and pretend your borrowed power makes you special." Homelander's laser vision flared. "We tried this already. Didn't work." "I know, but she doesn't believe it yet. Go ahead, Stormfront. Take your shot. Show me what master race superiority looks like." She hit him with everything. Concentrated plasma that could melt through steel. Electrical charges that could stop a heart. Force blasts that could level buildings. The rooftop around Lucifer exploded into molten debris and shattered concrete. When the smoke cleared, he was still standing. Cigarette still lit. "Finished?" Stormfront's confidence cracked. "What are you? I told you? The devil? The thing your Führer used to invoke when he wanted to justify his atrocities. Except I never actually approved of genocide. That was always a human innovation. You want to know what true evil looks like?" He stepped forward, and his voice dropped to something ancient and terrible. "Look in a mirror." Homelander moved faster than human eyes could track, slamming into Lucifer with enough force to shatter the rooftop. They fell together, crashing through 15 floors of an abandoned building before hitting the ground floor in an explosion of concrete and rebar. Lucifer stood, brushing dust off his suit. "Better, but still inadequate." "What do you want?" Homelander's voice was raw, desperate. "What will it take for you to just go away? What do you truly desire?" The compulsion hit Homelander like it had hit everyone else, but stronger, more brutal. He tried to fight it, eyes glowing, fists clenched. But the truth came anyway. "I want someone to love me. Really love me. Not fear me. Not worship me. Not need me. Just love me. I want to be enough just as I am. I want to matter without having to kill people to prove it. He stopped, gasping. "I want to be human." The confession hung in the air like a prayer. "That's the saddest thing you've ever said," Lucifer observed, "because you can't be. Vought made sure of that. They created a god without a soul, a weapon without purpose beyond destruction. You'll never be human. You'll never be loved. You'll only ever be feared and used until someone finds a way to put you down. Then I'll kill everyone first. You could try, but I'll stop you. You can't kill me. You said so yourself. I don't need to kill you." Lucifer's eyes blazed with hellfire. "I can do something much worse. I can make you feel every bit of pain you've ever inflicted, every person you've murdered, every life you've destroyed, I can make you experience their deaths from their perspective. Every single one. That's my gift, you see. Truth. And truth, for someone like you, is the worst torture imaginable. Homelander's face went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. Above them, Stormfront was repositioning, calling for backup. Lucifer could hear sirens, news helicopters, Vought's crisis teams mobilizing. The game was Lucifer's changing. Wings erupted from his back, not the angelic white they'd been in heaven, but scarred and burned, marked by the fall. 30 feet of damaged divinity that made Homelander stumble backward. You wanted to see what I really am? Lucifer's voice echoed with celestial power. Here's the truth. He grabbed Homelander by the throat and flew straight up, shattering through the building's remains and into the sky. Stormfront fired plasma at them, but Lucifer twisted, using Homelander as a shield. The blast hit America's greatest hero square in the back, making him scream. Stormfront, Homelander choked out. Stop! She won't stop, Lucifer said. Because you don't matter to her. You're just another tool, just like you've always been. They crashed into another building, Vought Tower specifically. Lucifer made sure of it. Through the executive floors, past conference rooms where deals were made to cover up rapes and murders, into the boardroom where Madeline Stillwell was holding an emergency meeting. She barely had time to scream before Lucifer deposited Homelander on the conference table. Your monster, he announced. Perhaps you'd like to leash him? Security burst in, guards with compound V-enhanced strength. Lucifer waved a hand, and they collapsed, writhing as he made them confront every desire they'd suppressed, every sin they'd committed in Vought's name. Madeline was already on her phone. Containment Protocol 7. Authorization Stillwell Alpha 9. Do it now. The building's lights flickered. Reinforced doors slammed shut. Gas began pumping through the vents. Some kind of sedative, Lucifer guessed, meant for rogue Supes. It smelled like lavender. How considerate. Homelander rose from the table, bleeding from his ears, his perfect suit torn. You can't beat us both. Stormfront's coming, and when she gets here... She's already here, Stormfront said, hovering outside the shattered windows. Electricity danced between her fingers. And you're trapped in a sealed building with gas that'll knock you out in 30 seconds. We tested it on subjects just like you. I'm not a subject. I'm the devil. You're a science experiment that got loose, just like all of us. She unleashed a concentrated plasma beam directly at his chest. The explosion destroyed the entire floor. When the smoke cleared, Lucifer stood in a crater of melted steel and burning carpet, completely unharmed. His wings were spread, shielding the screaming executives behind him, not out of kindness, but because witnesses were useful. Here's what's going to happen, he said calmly. You're going to call off your attacks, all 5 cities. You're going to go on television and confess that you plan to murder thousands of people to increase Supe political power. And then you're going to turn yourselves into actual authorities, not Vought's puppet agencies. Homelander laughed, high, manic. Or what? Or I'll show this entire city what you really are. Not the manufactured hero, not the corporate god. The scared little boy who needs constant validation because Vought raised you in a laboratory and told you love was a weakness. I'll kill you. You can't. We've established this. What you can do is make a choice. For once in your pathetic life, choose something that isn't what Vought wants. Choose to be better than what they made you. Stormfront fired again, joined by Homelander's laser vision. The combined assault would have vaporized a city block. Instead, it hit Lucifer's wings and dispersed harmlessly. I've withstood the fires of hell itself, Lucifer said. Your borrowed powers are children playing with matches. Below them, on the streets, Butcher's team had positioned cameras. Every major news network was broadcasting live. The world was watching two Supes attack someone who wouldn't fall, wouldn't burn, wouldn't break. Madeline saw it too. Stand down. Both of you. Stand down. Now. You're on every channel. I don't care, Homelander screamed. I'm done pretending. I'm done being what you want. If I can't kill him, I'll kill everyone else until someone tells me what I'm supposed to do. And there it was. The core of him, a weapon without direction, a god without purpose, a child having a tantrum with the power to end civilizations. Lucifer almost felt sorry for him. Almost. What do you truly desire, John? The name, his real name, the one Vought never used, hit Homelander like a physical blow. The compulsion dragged the deepest truth out of him, the one he'd buried under decades of programming. I want my mother. I want the woman who grew me in a lab to hold me and tell me I matter. I want her to say she's proud of me. I want her to love me even though I killed her when they cut me out of her body. I want to stop being this. He collapsed, sobbing. 37 years of trauma spilling out on live television. Stormfront stared in horror. Get up, you pathetic. And you, Lucifer turned to her. What do you truly desire, Stormfront? To purify the world, to make humanity strong again, to lies, try again. The truth came out strangled. To matter, to be remembered, to prove my father was right about me, to show them all that I'm not the failure they said I was. Two broken people playing God, desperate to fill voids that power could never fill. Lucifer retracted his wings. This is what Vought created. This is what your heroes really are. And you wonder why I refuse to kneel? Madeline was screaming into her phone. Emergency Supes were en route. The building was in chaos. But the damage was done. The world had seen their gods bleed truth instead of blood. And truth, unlike Compound V, couldn't be contained. The fallout was biblical. Within hours, Vought's stock crashed. Emergency sessions in Congress, protests in every major city. The footage of Homelander sobbing on live television played on every channel, every streaming service, every social media platform in existence. America's greatest hero, reduced to a broken child on camera. Stormfront tried to salvage it, gave interviews claiming Lucifer was a terrorist, a foreign agent, some kind of psychological weapon. But her denials rang hollow against the footage of her confessing her own insecurities, her desperate need for validation. The other attacks never happened. The second-tier Supes who were supposed to execute them took one look at what happened in New York and quietly disappeared. A train was spotted heading west toward California. Queen Maeve submitted her resignation from the Seven via Twitter. Vought went into full damage control mode, but the machine was breaking down. Lucifer watched it all from Lux's penthouse, drink in hand, city sprawling below him. He'd changed history without throwing a single punch, just forced people to tell the truth. Father would hate it, which made it even more satisfying. The door opened without knocking. Butcher walked in, looking exhausted, but alive. You did it, he said. I revealed what they were. They did the rest to themselves. Homelander's in Vought Tower, locked himself in his penthouse. Won't come out. Won't talk to anyone. Madeline's trying to spin it, but the board's already calling for her resignation. And Stormfront? Vanished, probably back to whatever Nazi hole she crawled out of. Butcher sat heavily. So what now? You going to stick around? Keep being the conscience this fucked up city needs? I'm not a conscience. I'm a mirror. There's a difference. Could have fooled me. Lucifer studied him. The rage was still there, but dimmer, directed inward now instead of exclusively outward. What do you truly desire, Billy? This time, Butcher didn't fight it. I want to move on. I want to stop being defined by what happened to Becca. I want to build something instead of just burning everything down. But I don't know how. That's the most honest thing you've ever said. Yeah. Well, you've got a way of dragging honesty out of people. They sat in silence for a moment, watching the sun set over a city that would never be quite the same. The boys will keep fighting, Butcher said finally. Vaught's wounded, but they're not dead. They'll rebuild, rebrand, find new heroes to replace the broken ones. It's what they do. And you'll be there to tear it down again. Someone has to. Then I suppose I'll be here when you need a devil's advocate. Lucifer raised his glass. To unfinished business. Butcher clinked his glass against Lucifer's. To burning down the right things. Over the next week, Lux became something unexpected. Neutral ground. Supes came to confess their sins and find absolution Lucifer couldn't provide. Vought executives came seeking deals he wouldn't make. The boys came planning their next moves. Even Huey showed up, just to talk. Queen Maeve came one last time before leaving the city. I called Elena, she said. We're meeting next week. I don't know if she'll forgive me, but I'm going to try. Good. Honesty's a start. You really are terrible at being the devil. I've been hearing that a lot lately. She left, smiling. On the 10th night after everything changed, someone unexpected walked through Lux's doors. Homelander. He looked different. No costume, just jeans and a t-shirt. His hair was messy. Eyes red from crying. He stood in the entrance like he didn't know if he was allowed to be there. Lucifer gestured to the bar. Drink? Homelander sat cautiously, like furniture might attack him. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yes, you do. They want to put me away. Lock me up somewhere I can't hurt anyone. Madeline says if I cooperate, if I do the interviews, show remorse, maybe they'll let me. He stopped. I don't know how to be remorseful. I don't know how to be anything except what I've always been. Then learn. How? The same way everyone does. Painfully, slowly. By making better choices one at a time until they start to feel natural. Lucifer poured them both whiskey. You'll never be human, John. But you could be humane. There's a difference. Will it fix me? Nothing will fix you. You're fundamentally broken. But broken things can still function. They just function differently than whole things. He met Homelander's eyes. The question isn't whether you can be fixed. It's whether you're willing to try being something other than a weapon. What if I fail? Then you'll have company. Everyone fails. The difference is whether you let failure define you or teach you. Homelander sat there for a long time, drinking in silence. Finally, he stood. I'm going to turn myself in. Real authorities, not Vaught's people. And I'm going to tell them everything. What Vought did. What I did. All of it. That's a start. Why did you do this? Why show me what I really am? Lucifer considered the question. Because watching you pretend to be a god was boring. Watching you try to become human might actually be interesting. After Homelander left, to face consequences for the first time in his life, Lucifer returned to his piano. The world hadn't ended. The corrupt hadn't been purged. Evil hadn't been vanquished. But some people were trying to be better. Some truths had been told. Some chains had been broken. It wasn't salvation, but it was something. He began to play. Not Chopin or Mahler this time, but something lighter. Jazz. Hopeful, almost. Outside, the city continued its eternal dance of sin and redemption. Supes and humans, Vought and its enemies, power and corruption, and occasional fleeting moments of grace. And in the center of it all, the devil kept his nightclub open, offering whiskey and uncomfortable truths to anyone brave enough to ask. Lucifer Morningstar had found his purpose in this universe, not to save it, not to damn it, but to hold up a mirror and let people see themselves clearly. What they did with that reflection was up to them. The devil remained in New York. Lux became legend, the club where truth mattered more than power, where supes and humans alike came to face themselves. Vought never recovered its former glory. Homelander's trial became the most watched event in television history. Stormfront was found and arrested in Berlin. The Seven disbanded, reformed, struggled to find identity in a world that no longer blindly worshipped them. Butcher and his team continued their war, but with more precision, less rage. They'd learned that burning everything down just left ashes. Building something better required patience. And Lucifer? He played piano, poured drinks, and occasionally reminded the powerful that they weren't gods, just people with abilities they hadn't earned, playing roles they didn't understand. Some nights, he wondered what Father thought of his latest rebellion, helping humanity instead of corrupting it, forcing truth instead of spreading lies, being the devil by refusing to be evil. It was the most elaborate middle finger to heaven he'd ever managed, and it was gloriously, perfectly him. The boys' universe had faced the actual devil and discovered he wasn't what they expected. Not a destroyer, not a savior, just an honest mirror in a world built on lies. And sometimes that was exactly what the world needed. May the Force be with you. More stories await.